Hey, ideators and entrepreneurs, CUNY Startups here. Welcome to CUNY and Beyond, the podcast dedicated to helping aspiring entrepreneurs through storytelling. We're excited to dive into the entrepreneurial endeavors of CUNY students, alum, and bonus entrepreneurs who are willing to share their valuable insights with you. Join us for today's show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to CUNY and Beyond. I'm Gail Yankosik, and my guest today is Jay Yu. Jay is the founder and executive chairman of Nano Nuclear Energy Incorporated. And his CUNY connection is that he graduated from City College. Nano Nuclear Energy. For those of us in the layman field who don't maybe understand that, can you tell me what that is?
Yeah, so nano nuclear energy is basically a disruptive technology that is helping to democratize energy for the world. Think of diesel generators and replacing them with clean energy. And what I mean by that is we're actually building a nuclear battery on a truck, if you could imagine that. And our goal is to provide energy to remote communities, island communities. Think of natural disaster relief. For example, on our advisory board is Governor Cuomo. And Governor Cuomo joined us because during Hurricane Ian in Puerto Rico, the storm knocked out the whole electricity of the island. And he sent a bunch of Con Edison trucks there to help rebuild the island. But he said to us that if your microreactors were available, he would have loved that. In the nuclear world, that's 20 megawatts or less, right? Our reactors, we named two after actual gods. One is Zeus and the other is Odin. Mm-hmm. And so Governor Cuomo, he envisioned, hey, if Zeus and Odin were available now, I would have probably sent your portable trucks versus the Con Edison trucks, because it actually provides up to 1,000 homes with carbon-free energy.
Wow. This is good for the climate. And it's also from what, if I understand correctly, it's incredible for natural disasters around not just the United States, but around the world.
Yes.
So tell me, would this the battery on the truck would then travel to, one of your goals, to have this battery travel to a remote area in need of electricity or power?
Yeah, exactly. And you could even we could go further. One of the first clients we envisioned was mining operations, because there's a lot of mineral wealth in remote areas on this planet. And if we're able to power a lot of these camps, mining camps, then you'll be able to mine, maybe higher grade metals, precious metals or materials. So that's another area where we're looking to disrupt. On top of that, think of Africa, the whole continent. There's no national grid. So we could come in and provide energy to remote communities. You think about desalination, building hospitals. That's how you'll be able to kind of unlock a lot of the value in certain different areas on Earth.
Certainly for a country like Africa, I was just thinking hospitals sorely in need. A country like Haiti that went through so much disaster and is still not recovered. And will they ever recover is certainly a question that keeps coming up. And you would be able to then travel, or your battery with the appropriate people to operate and set it up would travel there. You said you have two batteries right now, right? We have
two different designs. One is called
two designs.
Yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit about both. So Zeus, it's created by professors and postdocs from the University of Berkeley, California. So the chair of the nuclear engineering department, helped create Zeus for us. Basically, we gave them homework to two different technical teams, and we said, hey, the homework here is to build a portable miniature nuclear reactor, right? The size of an ISO container, where it could be shipped through traditional means like trains and ships, right? So that makes it portable. Then we wanted to obviously fit the technical size. So we're looking at 1 to 2 megawatts. So what 1 to 2 megawatts, you're really replacing diesel generators, right? We're not looking to disrupt cities because that's not our power output. We're looking to disrupt more of that area where diesel generators are. So Zeus was created there. It's a very ambitious design. It's probably the simplest reactor design in the whole entire world. In my opinion, my background is I'm not a nuclear physicist. I'm a CUNY grad of psychology. So, So how does, and we'll go back to that. Yeah, because you're like, how did this psychology major end up building a nuclear technology company? Yeah. So Zeus is a reactor that is very simple in design. However, it's never been done before. So the material and the material science have to match in order to actually build this. So we're right now doing physical demonstration right now of it, and then later on we'll build a prototype in a few years. Same goes for other reactor. It's called Odin, and Odin is invented and created by Cambridge University in the UK. So their postdocs and the chair of that department helped create that. That is a salt-based reactor, and it's a higher TRL, meaning technology readiness level, and that's more off-the-shelf components where we're not guessing if it's going to work. It's 100% going to work. It's just finding out the economic value and getting it to a place where it's about economy of scale, where we can factory fabricate these things, right? So that's both reactors. And then you had some other questions.
I did. When people hear the word reactor, some people get nervous because they hear the worst case scenario. That has not happened very often, but they worry about, it's a reactor. How dangerous is that? Let me turn that question around and say, how safe is this?
Yes, that's a great question. Yeah, so we call our reactors walk-away safe, meaning when you think of nuclear reactors, you think of these large civil nuclear reactors, right? And we're really small. And the large civil reactors are already really safe. But our reactors use no liquid coolant. So it can't even explode, right? It'll just naturally just cool down if anything happened. If anything did happen, it'll naturally cool down. And if there's any type of leak, it'll leak in one little area. It's not going to explode and shoot radiation all over the place. So it's a different type of technology these days. Also, people ask us, can it be used for a dirty bomb? Right. And because you think about a portable reactor, and can someone use it then to blow up and create a bigger shockwave or something? And essentially you can't do that because we use very small amounts of material for our fuel. You will literally need to break the reactor, and that'll be hard to do. Break it, take out the little bit of fuel there is, enriched fuel, take it to $1 billion chemical plant and enrich it more, which, the U.S., there's not many facilities here. So it's almost impossible, I would say, to even do that. And it's not even worth it to people to do that. So is it safe? Very safe.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Jay, is there a way you can give me an example of the size? I'm trying to imagine if you said, put it on a truck or whatever. Is it as big as a car? Is it, like a ship? What's the size? Give me a comparison to visualize.
Yeah, so I'll be able to send you guys some film and B-roll and pictures. Okay. So it's basically, just think of a tractor trailer, like an 18-wheeler, and the ISO container on a truck. That's on the back of the truck. So, like you think of all the ports and all these containers there, like on top of each other on these ships, right?
Right.
It's basically that. It's basically in the ISO container.
Okay. Because that helps to visualize it and make it a little more understandable.
Yeah, which again, I'll send you pictures and videos, and you'll be able to visualize it there. Yeah.
Okay. And tell me, what's the ultimate goal? And what is the time frame for getting there?
Sure. Yeah, the ultimate goal is to come up with the first microreactor prototype in the world, and then to scale it in a way where it makes sense for business wise, right? Like I told you, it's an economy of scale. So you want to be able to scale and build hundreds, if not thousands of these a year, right? So that the ultimate goal is to get it there. This year and the next few years, we'll be doing physical demonstrations. So what we did is we finalized our designs on both reactors. We actually are the only microreactor company that hired the national labs or the government to do a full audit of our design on both. So we want to show transparency to the public, and that's what we did. Now we're ready to go into the next phase, which is the physical work. So that'll take 3 more years. So the timeline for us right after that will be, it takes about 40 months for regulatory licensing, right? So you're looking at anywhere from 2030 and beyond.
You're at 2030, and you have this built. Does the time frame lessen? Because you said your goal, ultimately, you'd like to have many of these. Does the time frame lessen as you get the prototype out and working and accepted? Does the time frame in building these lessen, or would it always be this long time frame?
I mean, the time frame for us to get it licensed won't change, but afterwards is about, scaling these, right? Getting necessary funding for these. Right. And also there's a lot of government funding opportunities as well, right? The Department of Energy, they have a loan program that, minimum is like $100 million and over. To actually borrow in order to scale this and build a factory. So there's a lot of government support, bipartisan support. Recently, President Biden last week just signed the Advance Act, which is basically, pretty much, I wouldn't say made for nanonuclear, but for the sector in nuclear, it helps reinforce U.S. innovation in nuclear. So it helps companies like Nano Nuclear with regulatory hurdles and obstacles, like you just mentioned, less the time of actually commercializing as well. So it helps with that. And also the NRC has to kind of adjust some of their regulatory framework around this. Also, there's funding opportunities as well. So we're very excited about this new kind of law and what it's going to provide for nano in the future.
And how long have you already been working on this? When did you start this journey with your idea?
Yeah, sure. So about 3.5 years ago, I wanted to, invest or get into green energy or climate tech or clean energy, because I see the way of the world, how it's moving. And I looked into everything. I looked into wind, solar, geothermal, and nothing really made sense besides nuclear because of the base load factor it provides. And then I kept seeing this acronym SMR, small modular reactor. That's what it means. And I was like, that seems possible. But again, my background is more capital markets, Wall Street, I would say. So, the thesis for me was I wanted to become a contrarian investor. I didn't want to go with solar and wind. I wanted to go with nuclear. People weren't looking at nuclear as much 3 years ago as it's happening now, I would say, just because a lot of countries around the world have pledged to triple nuclear capacity by 2050. So there's a huge catalyst for nuclear in the next few decades. So when I put this together, I didn't know nano was going to create microreactors. I knew I wanted to create something small in nuclear, but I had no idea it's going to be on back of a truck, I would say. And then when I recruited my rockstar CEO, he's a nuclear physicist, worked at Rolls-Royce, worked at the Ministry of Defense in the UK and the submarines. Him and I really focused our attention on the total addressable market and how we could disrupt. And there was no prototype in the world for a microreactor. So we felt like if we are able to build the right teams, technical teams, we'll be able to jump in the lead here. And from inception, after we decided to go with this microreactor on a truck, we've stuck with it from day one. And we're very proud to do this, because now with all the big tech companies and AI and data centers, all this agenda around energy needs, it's kind of helped us too. And it's kind of opened up, opened up the eyes of a lot of these investors in the world and people that, look, nuclear is here and is here to stay.
Before we wrap up, Jay, I want to take you back to that young man who graduated from City College and majored in psychology. Can you tell us that path from how you got from psychology to nanotech?
Oh, well,
what detours?
Well, I'll tell you the long story. So I actually started in it ended up in 3 CUNYs. Okay. So I started originally in Baruch College. Okay. Yeah. So I started in Baruch College. I was a young 18-year-old kid, not really knowing anything about the world or life. And I was a very poor college kid too. So what happened was I started in Baruch. I went there for about a year. And then right after they built that vertical campus, it's a beautiful building. And then everybody wanted to go there, like everyone.
Yeah.
I actually ended up leaving Baruch College because I ended up working 3 part-time jobs just because I was just like, I'm just tired of being poor. I just want to make some money. Like I was always a hard worker. I just felt like school wasn't for me at that time. Right. So I ended up working a couple years, and then I realized, look, I need education. Right. And then when I actually wanted to go back to Baruch, I believe it was so popular. It was hard for me to get back in. And then I sucked it up and I just said, hey, you know what? Let me get my core classes done. And I actually went to BMCC. Right. And their model here is start here, go anywhere. Right.
Right. Okay.
So which is almost a foreshadowing of my life, I would say. So I finished my core classes at BMCC, and then I said, "Hey, I was working at Columbia University at the time, so I always stuck around academia." Okay, so I was working in the Ivy League school, and then I was like, "Look, that's close to Harlem. City College is 2 subway stops away, so I think that's a perfect place for me to just get my degree while working also at another university, right? So that's what I did. I ended up working full time and going to school full time. So hard work was nothing new to me. It was always ingrained in me. I always had this relentless spirit to succeed and to make a difference and to leave a legacy on earth. And I think I decided to invest in myself these days, because after City College, I ended up on Wall Street working for a German bank. And, that's when the whole 2008 meltdown happened, right? With the subprimes and the big banks. And at that time, I just said, you know what? I have to figure out another way to create success for myself. I started investing into small companies, kind of like a VC investor. And then I realized throughout my time of investing, I've seen executives fail and some succeed. So I already had like the DNA in me from experience, just learning how all these executives made decisions. So about 3 years ago, that's what I did. I invested in myself versus investing into others. And that's how I created Nano Nuclear.
Thank you so much, Jay, for sharing that CUNY journey, because as you were talking about part-time jobs and what you were doing, that is a path many CUNY students take out of necessity or out of, as you said, tired of being poor in the sense.
Yes.
CUNY students are remarkable students, I think, and you're living proof of that, because they juggle 2 or 3 things at a time and are determined that education is their path forward. And as BMCC said, go here, go anywhere. So thank you for that. We've been talking with Jay Yu, who is the founder and executive chairman of Nano Nuclear Energy, I should say. I'm so used to saying nanotech in my brain. Thank you for sharing your journey. It's been wonderful to talk to you. I appreciate you taking the time. And I look forward to getting to the point where you'll come back and tell us that truck is on its way.
And I'll give one more inspirational thing too. It actually reached $1 billion valuation. So we're a publicly traded company now, and it's incredible. It went from an idea to $1 billion. So
congratulations.
So start here, go anywhere.
Start here, go anywhere is not only BMCC's motto, but yours, because you're a remarkable inspiration for CUNY students, and especially those who are trying very hard, again, adding to their workload to do a startup, to begin their own company. So you're a great example for them. And thank you, Jay. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks for your time.
Congratulations.
Thank you.